I was just saying to Pim here, my colleague, that this is a rare defeat for you. You've launched several activist campaigns and won many in your lifetime. But it's also an interesting case where you may be right if you look at the share price right now. It's down about 7%. How are you feeling about that?
Well, look, the shareholders who really care, the shareholders who, do research on this company, those are the ones who overwhelmingly voted for us. 3 proxy advisory firms all advised a seat for us, and it was retail and the index funds who went the other way and swung the day. And it's unfortunate, but we will take a watchful eye. We will evaluate what's going on and monitor the company from here on in.
Right.
Look, we've done well for our investors. That's important. And unfortunately, the market is telling you how disappointed they are.
But Nelson, you seem to have the wind at your back going into the shareholders meeting, right? So CalSTRS was supportive of you. ISS came out and supported you as well. And you yourself had mentioned that you talked with many shareholders who seem to also be backing your position. So what happened here?
Well, what happened is that retail it's very hard for us to talk to retail, and there was a big component of retail. And getting to retail and retirees is a matter of money and a matter of allegiance. And the fact is that they had the allegiance of the retirees, and they had that. And and then the index funds, we were hoping to get 1 or 2 of them. They seem to all voted. They were all like-minded in the way they voted, and that clearly hurt us. And that's where we are today. But there's a long road ahead here, Betty. I reminded shareholders at the meeting today that we're 6+ months away from advance notice provision. We said that we don't think the company, unfortunately, is going to meet its guidance. And we wish that weren't true, but we think that's what's going to happen. They'll probably overshadow a lot of stuff with one-timers from the spinoff of Chemours. But nonetheless, the research analysts will see through that. And obviously, so will we.
Nelson, are you going to hold on to your DuPont shares? What are you going to do with them?
We are going to watch and wait, and we've said we're going to make a decision as we go along here and let the market speak, and we'll see what happens. So we've not made any decisions whether we're going to hold or buy more or what have you.
Is there, having seen what happened here and the fact that was surprising, I think, to both you and DuPont, that the retail investors came out in force, are you going to change, Nelson, the way you solicit support the next time around?
No, I don't think so. I think we did a good job. I think that they beat us in the press. I think they did that. I think they kept us very much on our back foot in the press. But I think our story was told really clearly to the people who do research, the people who follow this company intensely, and they had no problem with what we said, and they want to change. And I think that the market is telling you how disappointed it is that it didn't get it. But it's a long road, and we'll see how the company does from here. And if our prognosis is right, that they're gonna miss their guidance, then we'll see how it goes. But we're here, and we're going to monitor the situation.
I know you are going to monitor the situation, Nelson. Look, both sides, as has been reported, hired an army of people to tell the story right. DuPont hired, over 200 people. I know you hired a great number as well, and both of you spent millions of dollars on either side. What would you do differently next time around? And what part of the story, Nelson, do you think you didn't get right to the shareholders?
Well, I think the shareholders that do work understood the story. I think we could have done perhaps a better job with retail. But I can't get into the heads of the index funds. We had our meetings with the index funds, and they all voted the same way, which was sort of surprising. And the proxy advisory firms all came out in favor of me getting on the board. So I don't know that we did anything wrong. I think we could have done a little better job, obviously. But if you ask me would I do it again, yes, I would. And would I change a couple little things? But it would be all around the edges. But look, we've made a fair profit for our investors. Mm-hmm. The stock is up. It was up 50%. Now it's up 45 or 40%. I haven't done the numbers. Since we invested and since we got involved, and the company wants to take credit for all that, and that's wonderful.
Right.
And that's okay, but now it's up to them to perform year on end, and we'll see if that happens. But, you know, the biggest stock movements of the day were the day we first got involved, the day that our white paper came out, and the day that ISS came up for us. Those are the three biggest days since this management team has been in place. And before today, the 32 quarterly announcements made by the company, the stock was down a net $12 over this management team's tenure. And then today adds to that $12. So this was another dark day for DuPont shareholders. But look, it's over. The proxy fight is over. We want to move forward. We want the company to do well. I think the fact is that everybody understands the real numbers of DuPont. Everybody understands that the company has got to do the right thing going forward. And frankly, if they do, we will applaud them.
You know, Nelson, you and I have talked many times. It's not fair to just call you an activist. I mean, you also are an operator. You know how companies operate. You've studied them. You've operated many global companies yourself. I'm curious if you're going to, first off, seek a meeting with Ellen Kullman after this. Are you going to seek any kind of communication with management?
Well, look, I saw Ellen before the meeting. She came up and we shook hands. And I said, Ellen, I'd like to spend 5 minutes with you after the meeting. And she said, fine. And she said she'll have somebody come get me and bring me to her. I said, terrific. After my speech and after the meeting, my lawyer got a message from her lawyer saying the meeting was off. So I guess they didn't like what I said in my speech, or in fact, she might have been busy. I don't know which. But it is what it is, and I hope that she and I can sit down again and talk and understand how we can work together moving forward. There's a lot of opportunity there, and if she does it, I'm certainly willing to do it and make this company great again. We're happy to do that. If not, then, you know, we'll unfortunately, I think, see some of the same.
And Nelson, you know, as I mentioned, you've added value to several companies that you've targeted. You are an operator yourself. It has been pointed out that several of the companies, Nelson, that you have targeted have involved women CEOs, right? So Ellen Kullman and Indra Nooyi at Pepsi and Irene Rosenfeld at Kraft. Is this just a coincidence, Nelson?
Well, yes, it is. You know, 3 of our, I think, 28 or 30 campaigns have been with women CEOs since we started our fund about 10 years ago. And if you go back to the 80s when I first started doing this, that 28 or 30 number increases dramatically. So I don't think it's unusual. I think some of those are high profile, that sort of press talk. But if you look, Indra and I have made peace, and Bill Johnson is now a director on the board. He's our designee, and he's a guy I've got a lot of time for, a lot of respect for. And think about that. Bill was chairman and CEO of Heinz prior to, during, and after the proxy contest. And here he is on our advisory board and our designee on the Pepsi board, where he'll do a lot of good. I think Irene Rosenfeld and I clearly have put our differences behind us. Yeah. I'm a director there. The company is doing great things. Irene is leading the charge in a terrific way. She announced guidance to 16 in terms of margin improvement, and she's more than halfway there. And I couldn't be happier with the way things are going. She announced a terrific JV. She's announced zero-based budgeting, and we're seeing margins go up as the public is. And the last quarterly report she put out a couple of weeks ago, I think stock was up 5%. That's what we like, and that's what we think our companies can do. We got into Pepsi at about 60. It hit 100, and it's now mid-90s.
Yeah.
So, and I think Indra now is spending more money on direct marketing than in a very long time. And I think she's going to be doing great things over there as well. We'll have to wait and see, but she's got my full support. So, and frankly, Irene's got my full support if she wants it, and if she does a great job, I'm gonna absolutely root for her. That's what we want. We want the company. We don't want to be right. We want the company to really do the right things, and if that can happen, she gets a high five from me.
All right, so it sounds like
today is a new day. We're starting today new, and we want to see that company do great things. Unfortunately, we are nervous about the company's guidance for this year.
Yeah.
And we'd love to be proven wrong.
Well, Nelson, it sounds like, at least for maybe Indra Nooyi, you might be back on her Christmas card list, given what you just said. Nelson, before I let you,
I hope she'll send me a box of Cadbury chocolate.
There you go. Nelson, before we go, you're always on the move. So what is next? What's your next target, Nelson?
Oh, come on,
what?
We've got a couple of new investments we're making right now, and at the appropriate time, we'll make them public.